Regime's chemical weapons stockpile has been scientifically linked to the largest sarin gas attack of the country's civil war. To explain more, TRT World's defense analyst Oubai Shahbandar joins me now in the studio. Thanks for coming in, Oubai. So first of all, this report was produced by the Organization for the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons. Tell us exactly who they are and why is their report so different?
Well, this independent commission is very important. The OPCW was formed by a mandate by the United Nations to ensure that the Assad regime destroyed its chemical weapons stockpile in its entirety in 2013. The Assad regime signed on a deal that was brokered by the US, the UN, and Russia to give up tons of sarin gas and other extremely deadly chemical warfare rockets and bombs to international inspectors to destroy. So as part of its mandate, the OPCW also had independent investigators that took soil samples from the suspected chemical weapon site attacks both in Damascus, in Idlib province, and in Aleppo. And they found a link between the chemical weapons, the residue that was left behind in the soil between these three locations. So the fact that there is a link, the fact that we have the reporting of lab results, scientific evidence that there were traces of the same chemical weapons in three locations is very damning for an Assad regime that to this day denies that uses advanced chemical warfare against its civilians.
Right, because I mean, you can say it's damning, but will it essentially make any difference to the regime given it's ignored various reports put out by the UN before? And if it does ignore this, what are even the consequences?
It's all about whether or not there will be consequences. Now, diplomatically, it may be embarrassing for the Assad regime at a time when it's trying to present itself as supporting a peace process in Syria, that for these results to be finally reach the light of day. But we've seen the Assad regime just last week, it was suspected of using chlorine gas in an attack that injured 20 civilians in the Damascus suburbs. So clearly, many chemical weapon experts and international inspectors believe that the Assad regime still maintains an active chemical warfare stockpile. The Assad regime believes that it will not bear any consequences to continue to use them. So while these recent scientific results may be politically embarrassing for the Assad regime, it's a regime that has no shame and will probably continue to use these banned chemical substances against its own people, sadly.
Okay, Oubai, we'll have to leave it there. Thanks so much for coming in.